Slurply diddly do, my G's. How are you guys all doing? Today I've got a great video for you guys on some more arrangement ideas, and it's a little bit of a part 2 to my recent call and response video, but very different as well. So today I want to talk about a technique which I'm calling the Double Kick Skank. Alright, and basically, yeah, this is going to be a technique that relies on a certain type of drum pattern. Okay, so I'll show you how the drum pattern looks, and then I'll briefly explain the kind of structure of it. It sounds like this. So you've got basically 2 kick drums and then an extended shuffly part which only has snare drums and no kicks anymore. So if you take a look where the kicks and snares sit, the first kick is directly on the first beat of the first bar, and then you've got another kick on the second beat of the first bar, and then on the third beat you got a snare, and then you got a snare on the 4.5, and then again you've got a snare on the next bar, the second beat, and then again in that second bar on the 3.5 beat. Okay, so the snares they start on the beat, and then it goes to like an interval, like a beat and a half, and then back onto a beat, and then a beat and a half again, and then it repeats, and the kicks start again. But basically you got 2 kicks and then 4 snares, and a lot of shuffles in between the snares as well. Okay, so that's the concept for how we're going to be designing everything else around the drums, you know. So you've got to sort of get something close to that first. Doesn't have to be the same. It doesn't have to be perfect. But the main idea is to have 2 kicks on like the first 2 beats, as you saw, and then after that, just a break from the kicks and just some snare and shuffle magic. Okay, so there we go. And the double kick skank call and response technique is basically we're going to have 2 bass hits, or it can be anything actually, 2 sounds on those 2 kick drums at the beginning, and then for the response we're going to use something else which is going to go kind of match along with the snares. And so it's called the double kick skank because you got 2 kicks and you can have like 2 stabs and then transitions into something different, you know. So for example, I've got 3 examples actually to show you today. The first example here is using some horns, or some brass even, and then some deep jungly rolling bass. All right, so this first example sounds like this. I just played around with this third part here. I basically just added a couple of extra stabs, one slightly before the first beat and one slightly after that second kick as well. Oh no, sorry, it's actually it's one in the middle of the 2 kicks, so it gets a bit faster there. That was just for a bit of variation, you know. But essentially those horns, and these are the BBC Symphony, they're actually the trombones, brass trombones staccatoed, right? These guys, as you hear, they basically just sit on the kicks, right? And then the kind of jungle bass, which is from an old Vital preset pack of mine, I believe the Shadow Zone, is the creamy sub, and this just comes in directly on that snare if it wants to play. Alright, so there's your call and response setup. Horns on the kicks, jungle bass on the snare and throughout the shuffle. So really nice, interesting and groovy call and response idea / loop. And I'm going to show you 2 other examples now, which use the same concept, but basically just switching up what kind of sounds we're going to use for the call and response. So let's move into the next project. So for this variation of the kind of idea, again, we're just doing those first 2 sounds on the kick and then a response sound afterwards for the snares and the shuffles. But this time I'm doing something different. Rather than horns and jungle bass, I'm doing some bassy stabs and then a kind of nice and funky off the grid kind of lead sound, right? So bass and lead this time, both synth. So the first bass is from my Serum pack Dissonance, and this is the exhaler bass, and it has a really nice airy, breathy sort of layer on top of the sort of sine wave. Okay, nice and powerful as well. And the response is also a preset from Dissonance, my Serum pack, and this is the fearsome expansion. And this has just a really, really nice, lots of movement to it, and a nice character as well. And it's definitely, it's got bass in it, but I would characterize it more as a lead, So together, let's play them with the beat then. It's very simple. I just play the bass at E because that kind of fits with the drums. And then the lead is also at E. And the second time around here, it'll go up a semitone a little bit. It'll glide up a bit and then back down again, But essentially, mostly the whole thing is just at E, But just because of the call and response pattern and the way that things are moving with the drums and the fact that the 2 sounds are very contrasting in their sound character, that yields still a rather pleasant experience, I would say. So the Double Kick Skank, that's the second project, all right? Let's move on to the final variation of this technique. So for the third version, again, same concept, but just switching up the sounds. And this time, instead of starting with horns or starting with bass stabs, this time starting with synth chords. And then we're moving into a very unique mid-bass movement, okay? So the first kind of 2 chords are a little bit more simple to follow, and then the response mid-bass is a little bit more complex. Okay, so the chords are, both of these sounds again are from Serum Dissonance, my latest pack. Thank you everyone who grabbed a copy already, by the way. This one is the Oh My Chords, and it's just some nice kind of neuro-funky minor chords, And I just, again, played them on top of the kicks. But the second time round, to give a bit of an extra variation for this last one, we hold down the chord a little bit longer for the second time. So it has a little bit of a chance to do its little funky thing. And then, again, the same thing happens over here towards the end. Okay, and the response parts, right? So... the response part is the Crush Bandicoot, and this has just a really nice character on it, almost a little bit metallic, a little bit eerie, and just nice and got a nice strange sound to it. That's coming from the granular generator of a kind of cello blended with a triangle. But this has a nice movement on, which is quite different, sort of like much faster and consistent. I'd put a little bit of more melodic thought into this variation as well. So this mid bass, it kind of starts, the root note is E. It sort of starts up at an F sharp, drops down to an E, then goes back up to like an F here. And the same with the chords, actually. They also I don't just do the same note on the kicks this time. So this is where the variation of the last kind of version here is a little bit more. So rather than just doing one note on those kicks, I actually do a semitone up and a semitone down. And then the second time around, I do it the other way. So the second time it starts on the E and goes up to the F. And so it kind of chops and changes around like that, you know? So down, sort of from high to low, and then low to high, ending on the tension. And then back again, high to low, and the low is the root note again, remember? And then the fourth one again, back up to end on the tension. And yeah, similarly, playing around with semitones with the response, but the key is in E overall. It just kind of deviates from the norm a bit here and there, you know? Playing that with the whole loop again. So again, really, really nice arrangement idea. And all of the three concepts that, one concept really, but all of the three versions of that concept that I've shown you are all very, very different track ideas, you know, because the sounds are all different and the selection. But the underlying call and response concept for this double kick skank technique remains the same, you know? So it's something that you can try out. If you're looking for ideas and inspiration on a new track or a new project, try something like this out. It's a technique that's used often in drum and bass, and you can hear it, you can probably reference it from certain other songs. I don't know which ones spring to my mind. I think there was a Bunshin track. I think, is it Dancing in the Dark or one of Bunshin's sort of classic dance floor smashers, I think, has this technique. But that's just one off the top of my head. There's loads of like kind of drum and bass tracks that have a similar kind of structure, you know. But if it's a structure you've never tried before, could give you a little bit of inspiration to try something like that out, I would have thought. So that's why I wanted to share it today. So anyway, yes, here we go. Thank you very much for watching this video today. Hope you learned a little bit. And yeah, you can really apply this concept to any kind of sounds. But it's a nice way to have a little bit of a structure on how to do a call and response in a nice way that, yeah, adds a nice shuffly feeling, especially in the second part when you've just got the snares and the shuffles, you know. So test it out with some different sounds. Like you don't have to do like I did, like chords and then you can mid-bass moving thing. You can literally do like a xylophone and then a glockenspiel if you want. Either whatever you choose, make it sound great. All right, thank you for watching today, my G's. Much respect to everyone on the channel. May I quickly remind you before I go as well, if you want preset packs, you'll get great sounds on my website for Serum, Vital, Faceplant, and Current. And also, if you want any mixing and mastering work done, feel free to email me at info@arteffectmusic.com. For one-on-one production lessons, I'm available and my calendar is down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, come over on Patreon and you get loads of free content over there. Lots of videos and preset drops and samples and stuff like that. Plus a vibrant Discord community as well with lots of group events happening. All right, that's it for me today. More from me very, very soon. Ciao for now. Much love.